Okay, good morning, everyone. So welcome back to our online class. Our topic will be about solution of first order ordinary differential equations. So we will start with the first method, the separation of variables, or we call it, sa ibang mga books, they refer to this as variable separable. Okay, or separation of variables or separable differential equation. So now, since last week we discussed about how to arrive at the differential equation, now our focus will be on finding the solution of a differential equation. So if last week we have done differentiation in order to arrive at a differential equation, now we are going to utilize anti-differentiation or integration. Okay, so again, integration will be utilized in this lesson. So you should be able to recall all the techniques for integration, okay? So that this topic will be as smooth as possible, okay? And the challenge will not only be focused on the integration process, but of course, understanding how this differential equation can be determined, or the solution of that DE can be determined. Now, in this section, I said, so we examine a subclass of linear and nonlinear first order equations. So this is not just limited to a linear first order DE, but also for nonlinear first order equations. It means that you will encounter not just algebraic um, functions here, several functions, okay, like trigonometric functions, exponential functions, logarithmic functions. Okay, now, there are many techniques or methods that we can solve a differential equation. So remember that. And one technique or method that we can use is by separation of variables. Okay. So if, for instance, you cannot separate the variables, or you cannot do this technique, it means that there are other ways that you can be able to solve this DE. So hindi lang siya limited sa isang technique. So maaring it can be solved by a different method or technique. Understood? Now, so we have the first one, separation of variables, or variable separable. So we have to consider this equation, first order differential equation, dy over dx. So just a review of your basic concept. Your dependent variable here is y, and your independent variable is x. Or dependent means the unknown function, okay? Now equal to a function of x and y, or both variables x and y. Now, we can rewrite this first order DE into this form, m as a function of both x and y, or x or y, plus n n is a function of x or y times the derivative of y with respect to x equal to 0. Okay, so for example, okay, so you have let m equal to this given function, and n is equal to 1. So there may be other ways, and so basically rewriting this form will give us m. Okay, so ang nangyari lang dito is you multiply both sides by dx actually. So m times dx plus n times dy equal to 0. Sorry. So if m is a function of x only and n is a function of y only, then this form of DE is a separable DE. So what does it mean by this one? If we can be able to separate the variables, since diba, nabanggit dito, that this term actually is not just not just one variable yung involved. So pwedeng function ito ng both variables x and y. And this coefficient here ni dy is functions of both x and y. And kung naka-factored form ito, okay? Tapos we can be able to separate the variables kung saan si variable x ay naka dx, si variable y is with dy, then that equation is a separable dE. Okay, do you follow? So as you can see in this form, this one is now a pure function of x. Okay, since variable x ang makita mo dito, including the differential. And this term is a pure function of y, since you can only see the variable y here. Now, after this arrangement, or after you have done separating the variables, na yung x kay dx, yung y kay dy, you can now perform integration. Okay, so you can only integrate kapag you are able to make the equation na pure functions yung bawat term. Okay? Pure function of x, pure function of y, pure function of x. Clear? Any questions dun sa technique na to? So again, I have mentioned earlier that there are many techniques that there are other techniques that we can use to solve a first order DE. So pwedeng i-test mo muna yung DE. If you can be able to separate, then good. Kasi the next step will be finding the antiderivative or doing integration. Clear? Say for instance, let me open my annotation here. Okay, so let me think of, I think there's a question here. Sir, pa-accept daw po. Okay, sorry, akala ko related naman sa discussion. Anyway, so wait for a moment. I'm just trying to. Okay, for instance, I have this equation. So x, y plus x. Okay, can you see this? Yeah, times dx plus, say for instance, I have on my second term y, yeah, x, y, dy equal to 0. Okay, so I have here a first order differential equation. Okay, now the first method that I have introduced is separable or separation of variables. So looking at, each term here of the equation, so you have the coefficient here of dx is x times y plus x. So if you can make this into a factored form, kung kaya mong i-factor yan, then that's parang yun yung hint na, okay, I can be able to separate the variables. Itong second term natin is naka-product form na, di ba, x times y. So basically, you can actually separate them. Okay, by doing cross multiplication or you divide both sides by this certain function, you can be able to eliminate, di ba, yung hindi. Kasi for this term, what you only need here is para makuha mo yung mismong, para ma-solve mo yung kanyang, para ma-integrate mo siya, so kailangan pure function of y siya, right? And on the first term, since dx yung involved dito, para ma-integrate natin siya, it should contain only variable x sa kanyang term, okay? Now, for the first term, since ito xy plus x, okay, looking at this coefficient, we can be able to factor out, di ba, yung x, di ba, common yung x sa bawat term. So, if you are to the right, this becomes x times, anong matitira sa first term? You have y. Anong matitira sa second term nito? So, 1. So, what I did, so I was able to factor, okay, this coefficient into this 1x times y plus 1, right? So plus xy dy, okay, equal to 0. So having written this into sa factored form na, so pwede ko nang matanggal yung y plus 1 dito, or I can be able to divide both sides by y plus 1, and then here to eliminate x, we divide both sides by x, thus giving me what? Ano na? So anong mangyayari dito? So if you divide both sides, I'll just rewrite here. So I have the first term x times y plus 1, okay, times dx. And on the second term, I have x times y dy equal to 0. Again, the objective here is for us to be able to solve the DE. And for us to solve, we need to integrate, but we cannot integrate if the given DE is naka ganitong format siya na hindi siya pure function of the given, kunyari, hindi siya pure function of that particular variable. Like here, dx, so dapat yung coefficient nito na function is a pure function of x. And for dy, for me to integrate this term, the function here ng coefficient na should be a pure function of y. So what I will do is, I will divide both sides by, okay, ano yung dapat tanggalin dito? Dapat, para maging pure function of x siya, so I should eliminate y plus 1. Okay, so dividing both sides by y plus 1, ayan, I can be able to make this term a pure function of x. Right? Here naman sa second term, so gusto kong maging pure function of y ito. So I should eliminate what? X. So divide both sides by x. Now, so ibig sabihin, yung bawat term, divide ko ng ganitong functions. Okay? This product. So x divided by x, tanggal na rin yung x. Y plus 1 over y plus 1, tanggal na to. So anong matitira sa first term? You have dx. So no problem because pure function of x na siya. So 1 is still a function of ano yun, di ba? Either a function of y or x kasi constant nga siya. So on the second term, I have x divided by x, tanggal na yung x, y divided by this y plus 1. So you have y, sorry for that, dy over y plus 1 equal to 0. Okay, as you can see, pure function of x. So pwede ko nang integrate yan. Pure function of y, so I can now integrate this term and then equal to the arbitrary constant c. Okay? Clear? So ito, magdi-divide ka lang dito. Okay, any questions so far? We can proceed to the next slide. If you don't have any questions. I think clear na, no? Yung separable DE or variable separable. The separation of variables. Okay, so let's clear this. Let's proceed to our first example. Okay, I have actually here 4 problems. So we will solve these 4 problems. Okay, so find the general solution of each of the differential equations. So here we have dy over dx equal to x over y. The second one is 1 plus x times dy minus y dx equal to 0. The third term is x times y raised to negative 3 times dx plus e raised to x squared dy equal to 0. And then lastly, y is equal y times e raised to 2x times dx equals 4 plus e raised to 2x times dy. Okay, now for our answers or final answers, so pwede nyo siyang isulat, nakasolve for y siya. Okay, solve for y explicitly. Or yung nasa left side is a function of y, since di ba y is the unknown function, and then on the right side, andun yung variable x. Okay, and syempre, andun yung arbitrary constant mo or plus c mo dun sa right-hand side of your equation. Or if for instance, di ba gusto mong lahat ng mga functions naka-equate to 0, di ba? So first and second terms muna sa left-hand side equal to the arbitrary constant c dun sa right-hand side. Okay? Now let's proceed to the next page. Okay, let's solve the first example. So we are given, okay, dy over dx plus, dy over dx is equal to x over y. So what we will do is we just cross multiply. Okay, kasi nga we have to separate the variables. So this, number 1 is just by looking at the equation, alam mong kaya mong i-separate yung variables na yung variable y, ay pupunta kay dy, at yung variable x is for dx. Okay, so by doing cross multiplication, so we now have y dy equals x times dx. As you can see, The left-hand side is a pure function of y, and the right-hand side of the equation is a pure function of x. Clear? Then we can perform integration. So integrate both sides of the equation. So you have, antiderivative ng y dy. We have y squared over 2 equals, on the right-hand side, you have x squared over 2. And you put plus c. Sabi ko nga kanina, diba, sa right-hand side, so dyan mo ilalagay yung arbitrary constant c. Okay, so we can simplify later. We can put basically arbitrary constant c, since lahat naka-over 2 na yan. So para ma-simplify na natin yung solution later. So gawin mo na rin c over 2 yung arbitrary constant c. And what you will do next is you multiply both sides by 2 to eliminate yung mismong constant na 1/2 in each term. So you have y squared equals x squared plus c. So this is now your final answer, where the function y ay nasa left-hand side, yung function of x, function of x is nasa right-hand side. Or if you are asked to solve for y, so pwede mo namang express yung answer mo in terms of nakasolve explicitly yung y. So para matanggal mo yung square dun sa y, so take the square root of both sides of the equation. Okay, so yun yung gagawin ko dito. So the y squared is equal to x squared plus c, and then take the square root of both sides of the equation. So I will now have y lang dapat. Okay, please erase. Okay, y equals the square root of x squared plus c. So that's it. Okay, so any question here? So you can either have these solutions for this DE, nakaganitong format, or nakasolve explicitly, diba, in terms of y. So y is equal to the square root of x squared plus c. Again, so here, what we did here is we actually simplified. Hindi dun sa mismong general na, or sa mismong final answer. As I mentioned, diba, last time, na arbitrary constancy, diba, is an arbitrary constant, so it could represent any value. Basta constant, basta not involving variables in it. So say for instance, pag sinabi natin na, katulad nito, if we did not put this into this format, like y squared over 2 equals x squared over 2 plus, ginawa lang natin siyang c. So we can actually simplify this since you are to solve explicitly the y. So multiply both sides by 2. What will happen here is that we have y squared equals x squared, right? And then plus 2c. Or you can replace this one as c. Okay, arbitrary constant c. Clear? So pwede mong gawin din yung ganong technique. So itong ginagawa ko, so ano pa lang, bago ko siya, dito ko na siya minomodify, simplify para sa final answer. Hindi ko na kailangan pang galawin or papalitan. Okay? Clear? Questions? None? Hello?
Meron po, sir.
Yes.
Ano po kapag magkaiba ng denominator?
Okay, pag magkaiba ng denominator, good question. Okay, for example, okay, kunyari, yung y naman, walang denominator, diba? Yung x lang yung may denominator. So you need not to simplify anymore. Since, diba, our purpose of doing this is for us to solve explicitly the unknown function or y. Nakuha niya? Kunyari, if for instance, sige, kunyari, may di lang 1 yung denominator. Right? For example, this over 3, ito naman ay, ayan, 3 and 2. Ganun. So yung pinaka i-consider mo dito is yung denominator ni y ng unknown function. Okay? Nasundan? So this is over 3 siya. So ano yung i-multiply ko both sides of the equation?
3.
since ang isa sa mga objectives ko din is, pwedeng 3. Kaso nga magiging, din to, di ba? Magiging fraction din tong term na to.
6.
Okay, so pwedeng 6 or pwedeng, ayan. O pwedeng 3 since ang pinaka, sabagay, pwede rin namang 3, pwede rin namang 6. Kung gusto mong isang line na lang siya, sige, multiply mo by 6. So you will have here 2, what? Okay, yeah, 2y squared is equal to, tama ba? Tapos ito ay 3x squared plus, ayan, 6c, or just basically write c there. Okay? Pero yung sabi ko nga is, lagi mong i-consider yung y. 'Di ba? Yun yung magiging basehan mo. Since gusto mong eliminate yung 3 dito, so pwedeng 3 na lang din kasi yung after mo naman is ma-express mo yung sagot mo into this format. Okay? So kung 6 ang ating minultiply, so you may write your answer into this format, okay? And not putting the equation or the final answer into this format. Okay? Kasi kung pag ganitong gusto mo, dapat 3 lang yung multiply natin. Okay? That's how you simplify your general solution or para mag-arrive ka doon sa general solution. Okay? Clear? I hope.
Clear po, sir. Thank you po.
Okay. Any more questions? Then let's go to the next example. Okay, so here we have 1 plus x, the quantity 1 plus x times dy minus y dx equal to 0. And okay, as you can see, hindi siya pure function of y. Well, in fact, dapat para ma-integrate natin siya, dapat pure function of y. And here in the second term, this is not pure function of x. Okay. Now, so yeah, let's play this one. So what we will do is for us to eliminate 1 plus x on the first term. So we divide natin both sides by 1 plus x. And for the second term, we divide natin both sides by y para matanggal natin yung yung variables. Diba? This is one way of separating the variables. And what I did here, tinranspose ko yung second term actually dun sa left, sa right-hand side. Okay? Yung left-hand side, nilatain ko yung dy. Okay, since I'm after, diba, dun sa final answer ko na, yung left-hand side is a pure function of y, yung right-hand side, nandun yung variable x ko or the independent variable. Now, transposing this term to the right-hand side, so I have 1 plus x times dy equals y dx. Now, what will I do? Anong gagawin ko na? So, pwede na natin matanggal dito, di ba? Or, yeah, divide both sides by, 1 plus x to remove this function here and divide both sides by y para matanggal na rin yung y dito. That's giving me my equation. I was able to separate the variables. So, dy over y equals dx over 1 plus x. So as you can see, I have a pure function of y and pure function of x. Now, pwede nang integrate, diba? So I can now integrate both sides of the equation. So, recall ninyo yung integration. So, integral of dy over y is ln of y. Ganun din sa right-hand side, diba? 1 dx over 1 plus x. If you check that, yung ating formula for that is, just a recall lang, guys. So, di ba, integral of du over u, no, is equal to ln of u. Do you remember this? So, if this is the denominator na u equal to 1 plus x, then dapat masatisfy, di ba, yung numerator na dapat du siya. So, I have Okay, ang derivative nito, so 0 plus, yan, magiging dx na lang siya. So, satisfied naman. Okay? So, kaya pwede natin i-apply yung formula na ln of u. Okay? I think may nagtataas ng kamay. Sino nagtataas ng kamay? There's a question here. Okay. Okay, pa-accept pala daw. Anyway. Ano na, nakapasok na ba sila? Accepting Medrano. Okay. Sino pa? May questions? Let's proceed here. So ln of 1 plus x. Okay, now, of course, saan tayo maglagay ng plus c? Di ba kapag nag-integrate tayo, may I plus the arbitrary constant c, di ba? So doon ka magpa-plus c sa right-hand side kung saan yung x. Malinaw ba doon? Laging ganun yung parang, if possible, ganun yung gagawin natin. Pero pag lahat sila nasa left-hand side, okay, yung c mo doon sa right-hand side lang siya. Okay? Malinaw ba?
Opo.
Okay? Okay. Now, yan. Maglalagay ako plus c, pero pwede ko pang i-simplify actually ito since, di ba, each of the terms here, di ba, ln, naka-logarithmic na siya, di ba, na function. So, kapag naka-ln yan, each term, pwede kong ma-simplify. So, pwede ko na rin gawin na, instead of writing c here, gagawin ko na rin siyang ln of c, di ba? Okay, so I'll put this as ln of c because c again could represent ln of c, pwedeng e raised to c, pwedeng square root of c, c over 2, 2c, and many others. Ayan. So, ganun yung ibig sabihin ng c. So, ginagawa ko to para ma-simplify ko yung entire equation. So, I'll make this as ln of c. So, kapag nakaganitong format, guys, ln of 1 plus x plus ln of c, pwede na siyang,
Multiply.
I can rewrite them, di ba, into a one term na lang. Right? Yung property ng logarithmic functions. Okay, do you remember that property? Again, just a recall for the benefit of those who have forgotten the this property. So when we say ln of, say, x times y, this is actually equal to ln of x. Or pwedeng log yun, kung log ito, kung logarithmic, so just put log. Log ln of y. Okay? ln of y. Now, kapag ln of x over y naman siya, so this is just ln of x, yung numerator, tapos minus mo lang yung ln ng denominator. Okay? Na-recall nyo na yung property? So, ganun gagawin natin sa naka-plus to, so magiging product na yung mismong argument. Right? So, magiging, yung nasa right-hand side mo, magiging product na yung arguments ni logarithmic function. Okay, let me just put my annotation. Okay. Okay, so let's continue. So, copy lang natin yung nasa, pag hanggang itong format na, so gawin natin, pwede natin gawin yung anti-ln. Okay? That's the purpose para matanggal natin yung logarithmic, di ba? Yung ln na function. So, by doing anti-ln, so this becomes e raised to, ganun both sides. Yung magiging base, kumbaga, yun yung, magiging, ano natin, yun yung anti-ln, di ba? Yung inverse actually ni logarithmic function is exponential function. Do you remember that? Okay, so we're doing anti-logarithmic or anti-natural logarithm. So yung nasa right-hand side natin, we can put this into a one term na lang, ln of 1 plus x times c. So here, I can write ln of 1 plus x times c. So having written in this format, so I can say na Tatanggalin natin yung ln na function dyan. So, again, recall, e raised to ln of y is y. E raised to ln of x is x. Okay, so here, we have the left-hand side equal to y and the right-hand side equal to the product c times 1 plus x. So, ayan na yung final answer natin. Simplified na siya, di ba? Yung kanina, so bakit siya simplified? Kasi hindi mo na kailangan pang, ayan, naka-logarithmic functions kasi sila, di ba? Kasi yung naka-solve for y na rin to explicitly. I mean, the equation is written explicitly in terms of the unknown function y. Na kapag if you are to solve na for y, so hindi mo na kailangan pang gamitan ng calculator, di ba? So, para ma-solve mo yung value ni y. So, basta may given condition ka lang. That's the idea of, you know, a simple or simplified solution. Okay, any questions for this example? Okay, wala. Excuse me. Walang tanong? Clarification? About sa ginawa? So basically, babalikan natin yung foundation, di ba? Yung mga properties ng mga functions. So, sabi nila mahirap yung DE. Actually, hindi naman talaga siya mahirap. Yung nakalimutan mo lang or you have forgotten some of the properties. Exponential functions, yeah, law of exponents, logarithmic functions, how to factor, how to do partial fractions, or how to decompose a fraction into partial fraction. Yan, just like that. Mga trigo functions, identities. So yun actually nagiging challenge. Okay, if hindi ganun kumbaga, hindi mo masyadong naintindihan or nag-grasp yung mga ganun na technique, di ba? Nung nag-aaral ka pa ng trigonometric or trigonometry, geometry. So, kaya nagiging mahirap yung problem sa tingin mo kasi because of those functions na present dun sa equation. So, yun actually yung nagiging challenge. Okay? So, kailangan balikan yung nakaraan. Sabi nila, wag nang balikan yung nakaraan. Pero yung nakaraan nakakatulong naman sa hinaharap or sa present. Okay, so our next, ano nang nangyari dito? Yeah, sabi nga nila, remember the moments of the past. Look forward to the promise of the future and above all, celebrate the present for it's precious. Anyway, tanggalin ko lang yung mga sulat-sulat dito para, okay, there you go. Now, our next example here is, I had my presence ng exponential function and yeah, tingnan natin to. Kanina ko lang to ginawa eh. So, tingnan. X times y raised to negative 3 times dx. Actually, may binago ako dyan, kaya na-stuck din ako dito. Pero hindi naman siya ganun kahirap. Anyway. So, yung pinaka-objective natin is if we can be able to separate the variables. Then, good. Kasi, after that, we can integrate na. Right? Pag hindi mo kayang i-separate yung variables, then there are other ways or methods that we can use. At hindi ko pa natuturo yun, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, just leave it. Leave the problem. Kasi you will be, maybe in the future or in your next quiz, you are asked to solve for differential equations that are separable only. So, ibig sabihin, kapag hindi siya separable, so just leave it. Leave the problem. So, kasi may ibang technique yan. At yung technique na yun, hindi ko pa na ituturo or methods. Do you follow? Kasi ganun yung magiging yung possibility ng next quiz ninyo. So, you have a direction there that solve only separable differential equations. Okay? Again, at saka hindi lahat ng DE separable. Nakuha nyo? Hindi lahat ng DE separable. So, for DEs that are separable, then, yeah, after na ma-separate mo yung variables, integrate mo na siya, di ba? So, what I did here, the first term contains functions of x and y, right? The second term, ganun din, di ba? Yung dy dapat the coefficient of this is a pure function of y for me to be able to integrate. Since naka-factored form naman siya, no problem, we can separate the variables. Okay, so what we need in the first term is a pure function of x. So we need to eliminate y raised to negative 3. And by doing that, so para matanggal natin to, so divide both sides by y raised to negative 3. So kapag ganun yung ginawa mo, itong y na to na function pupunta sa next term, right? At kapag ito naman, if you need to remove this function of x here, yung e raised to x squared, so dividing both sides by e raised to x squared, eliminating this function in this term, and then saan na siya mapupunta? Dito sa first term, which is a pure function of x. So ganun yung idea of dividing both sides by these functions. Now let's continue. So we have the first term, x, okay, x dx over e raised to x squared. And then on the second term, so you divide both sides by these functions. So you have dy na lang matitira dun sa numerator mo, second term, okay? And yeah, divided by y raised to negative 3 equal to 0. 0 divided by these functions is still 0. Now, pure function of x na siya. And then the second term is a pure function of y. So what I did here is, ayan, pwede mo namang iangat yung exponential function. So magbabago lang yung sign. Right? Do you know this one? Itong y raised to negative 3, pag tinaas mo siya, so magiging y raised to positive 3 dy equal to 0. Okay, now pure function of x and pure function of y, so you can now perform anti-differentiation or the integration process. Now, ito, tingnan natin. Do you remember the integral of exponential functions, e raised to u du is e raised to u plus the arbitrary constant c. So let's check here since involving exponential function. So if, okay, yeah, minus x squared. So ang ginawa ko lang, inayos ko lang siya times x dx. Okay, so our u here is minus x squared. So if you differentiate that to make sure, di ba, kung ito yung u natin, dapat this is the du of this given u, right? So ito yung one way to check this. You can do algebraic substitution. So negative 2x dx. So as you can see, ano lang yung kulang dito? So a constant. Pwede ka naman mag-introduce, di ba, ng neutralizing factor. Okay? Para ma-satisfy natin itong formula na to, e du. Okay, e raised to u and its du should be what? Minus 2x dx. So what's missing here is yung minus 2. So pwede tayo mag-introduce ng neutralizing factor na minus 1 over 2. Okay? Para ma-satisfy natin. Or basically, you can yan, introduce ko ng minus 2. Siyempre, huwag mong kalimutan, i-neutralize siya, di ba? Divide outside by minus 2. Or, pwede mong gawin yung substitution ka, di ba? Na-recall niyo pa to, yung ganitong technique sa integration. Yan, basically, magre-recall tayo ng mga techniques sa integration dito. So, binura ko na lang muna siya kasi I have other ways. Para mapakita ko rin yung other ways of how to perform integration using our involving exponential functions. So, since may x dx dito, so express ko to in terms of x dx. So, we have du over minus 2. So, i-plug in mo na lang lahat dito. Okay, x dx is equal to what? Du over minus 2, di ba? So, ganun lang. So, ito, e raised to u. Asa na? May minus 2 ka dapat dito. Ayan. Over minus 2. Ayan. So, constant naman to. So, pwede mo siyang ilabas. So, just like, di ba, what I have shown you earlier, nasa labas na yung minus 1/2. So, then, integral of e raised to u du. Ganun lang. Okay? Recall this one. Hindi naman siya mahirap, guys, kapag naalala pa ninyo to. So, kailangan nyo i-recall yung technique na to. Okay? Pag may tanong kayo ha, huwag kayong mahiyang magtanong. Kasi importante na maintindihan itong topic na to. Anyway, nagawa na natin we have already done the separation of variables na yung pure function of x ay nakay dx, yung function of y ay nakay dy. Clear na tayo dun sa ganong technique for separation of variables. Now, what we're doing here is actually solving now doing integration na. Okay, then -1/2 e raised to negative x squared is the integral of this given term. Now, the second term is, yan, anong nangyari, Sir Phil? Ba't nag-stack up? Okay, I think sa next page to. Any questions so far?
Sir, ask lang po.
Yes, sure.
Sir,
What's your
ba't
name?
hindi po ay Amoto po.
Yes, yes.
Sir, ba't hindi po tinransfer yung EX squared dy sa sa 0 po? Tapos, di ba magiging plus C po siya? Ba't hindi po siya tinranspose?
Okay, ito naman yung other way of writing your final answer here. Pwede mo namang i-transpose yun later. So ito, papakita ko lang na pwede mo nang i-perform yung integration kahit na nabanggit ko nga kanina, di ba? Pwedeng lahat ng mga terms ay nasa left-hand side tapos equal to the arbitrary constant C. Okay?
Okay po, sir. Salamat
Okay?
po.
If possible na ganun ang gagawin mo, na lahat na yung y nasa left-hand side, if you are asked, if possible na i-solve for x mo siya, gawin mo yon. Pero kung halimbawa ganito na yung involved, like you have complicated functions like ganito, example lang pero kaya naman itong magawa mamaya. We'll see about that. So ang ginawa ko na lang is niretain ko siya sa left-hand side lahat ng mga terms. Nakuha, Mr. Amoto? Okay.
Okay po, thank you po.
Okay, sige. Pero makikita mo yan mamaya dito. Tingnan natin. Sige. So, integrating now y cubed dy is y raised to 4 over 4. Ayan, nag-plus C. Doon ako naglagay ng C sa right-hand side. So, ganun lang yun. So, ang ginawa ko dito is, di ba, yung aking kinonsider dito is yung y, right? Nakita nyo? Kaya nag-C over 4 ako para ma-simplify ko siya. So, doon ako nag-base. So, pwede nga na yung sagot mo or simplify further mo pa. So, C over 4 and then multiply both sides by 4. Okay. So, pay attention guys. Baka kasi may ma-miss kayo na mga parts. So, multiplying both sides by 4 here. So, I will have, sa first term ko, so 4 divided by -2. So, -2 e raised to negative x squared. Plus, matatanggalan natin yung 4 dun sa y raised to 4 over 4. And then, equal to C. Now, solving for y, so pwede mo naman na later mo na gawin yung pag-transpose. So what I did here, yung transpose ko na yung -2, naging positive na siya dun sa right-hand side, right? Tapos, plus C. Ganun lang. If you are to solve for y, so fourth root of the right-hand side, yun na yung magiging sagot mo. Okay? So this is now your final answer. Ito na, Mr. Amot. Ano to? Ayun na.
Question po.
Amoto po. Okay po.
Amoto. Okay. At least, di ba, nagtatanong kayo at clarify kayo sa mga bagay-bagay.
Sir, question po.
Sure.
Ignacio po. Di ba
Yes.
po product rule po yung x e raised to negative x squared?
X e raised to negative. Magpa-product rule tayo kapag nagdi-differentiate. Okay? So, hindi
So
na tayo
yung x po nawala. Saan po napunta yung x po? Sa x e raised to negative x squared.
Kasi yung, di ba, what we considered here is yung integration ng exponential function. Okay? So, pwedeng by parts yan or pwedeng kang gamitin mo yung formula na e raised to u du. Pero ito, kasi looking at this exponential function, x squared, di ba? Yung possibility of having an x dx na differential, ay makikita mo dun sa mismong term na to, di ba? May x dx ka. Na-recall mo yung formula okay, again, sige, let's just have this one. Okay. So, e raised to u du. So, we have a formula for this one. Remember, integral of e raised to u du. So kapag ganito, u satisfied yung differential niyan. So the answer is e raised to u lang. Ito lang yung nangyari, di ba? Ano yung u mo? Ano yung u natin? Minus x squared. Ano dapat yung du mo? And that is minus, actually napakita ko naman dito kanina, ito, minus,
Gets na po, sir.
yeah,
Gets na po.
2x dx. So may x dx ka. Ano, gets mo na? Okay na? So yun, yung differential ni e raised to, ni e, yung ng u mo is yung x dx. Okay? Baka nalito ka dun, ha? Basta ganun yung idea. May mga formulas tayo na kailangan i-consider, di ba? At masatisfy. Okay, so ito din yung isa sa mga answers is pwedeng ganito na yung format mo. So hindi siya nakasolve for y. This is y raised to 4 minus, inayos lang natin na hindi mag-negative yung simula. So y raised to 4 minus 2 e raised to minus x squared equals c. Pag binaba mo naman to, pwede rin naman magiging positive yan. Right? So there are many ways para masulat mo yung final answer kapag hindi naman siya naka-indicate na okay, solve for y. If for instance, di ba yung mga choices sa sa exam ninyo, hindi siya dun katulad sa na-solve ninyo. So pwedeng check mo yung ibang mga choices, baka nakasulat siya in that format. So just like this, pwede ko namang sabihin na okay lang ba guys? I-rewrite ko din to into other, and gusto ko matanggal tong exponential function dito na negative. So what I will do is, ano yung i-multiply ko both sides para maging positive to? So e raised to positive x squared, di ba? So mawawala na tong negative na exponential exponent dito sa exponential function. So magiging y raised to 4 times e raised to x squared, minus 2 equals c. Ayan, wait lang. C e raised to x squared. So ayan, pwede rin ganun na format. Tapos ilipat mo dito yung ganun. Okay? Or pwede rin na, there are many ways, diba? So y raised to 4 minus c times e raised to x squared equal to positive 2. Oh, di ba? Pwede rin ganyan. Ang ginawa ko dito is transpose lang sa kabilang side maging negative. Ito transpose to sa right hand side naging positive. And then factoring out e raised to x squared. Ito na yung kinalabasan. Okay? Okay na?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gusto ko kasi may narinig akong boses na nag-okay. Kasi hindi ko naman kayo nakikita. Kahit man lang boses ninyo, marinig ko. Wow. Anyhow, let's proceed to the next example. Okay, so I think this is the final example for finding the general solution. Okay, now let's play this one. Okay, as you can see, there is still an exponential function in. Okay, ito madali lang to, di ba? Kasi naka-factored form na siya. As you can see here, pure function of x lang din naman siya, di ba? So ito naman, naka-product na rin siya. Y times e raised to 2x. So what you will do here is you divide both sides by, anong gusto mo tanggalin doon sa right-hand side? Yung y. Yung sa right-hand side naman, kailangan pure function of y siya. So you divide both sides by 4 plus e raised to 2x. Now, by doing that, we have the resulting equation na, okay, inayos ko na lang. I have interchanged their positions na yung y ay nasa left-hand side, yung x ay nasa right-hand side ng equation mo. Okay? So, pause muna natin. So, this is, yan, dividing both sides by these functions, tanggal tong 4 plus e raised to 2x, so naging dy over y. Ito na yon. Ganun din sa, dito sa part na to. So, dividing both sides by these product or these functions. So, natanggalan natin yung y. Ito na yung kalalabasan. Now, pure function of y and pure function of x. So the next step will be to integrate. So ln na rin to. Ln of y equals. So itong term na to is actually ln. So just to verify the formula, di ba? du over u. Integral of that is ln of u. Do you remember this formula? So let's check if the given integrand satisfies, di ba? Itong denominator, kung ito yung u natin, so dapat ito yung kanyang du. Do you follow? Sige, let's do that. Okay, pay attention na. Go, Sir Phil. So our u is 4 plus e raised to 2x. Now we will differentiate that. Okay, the derivative ng 4 is 0. So derivative ng e raised to 2x, e raised to 2x times 2 dx. Okay, so as you can see, meron kang e raised to 2x dx dito. So ano na lang yung kulang? You have 2 na constant. Yun ang kailangan mo, guys. So pwede mo siyang express into that format. We can introduce na neutralizing factor na 1/2 dito para masatisfy mo na yung pinaka. Okay, so e raised to 2x times dx is just du over 2. And then this one is u. Pwede mo nang magamit yung formula or labas mo na yung 1/2. And then the integral of du over u is ln of u. Right? Ayan, so. Any question here? Anyway, so ano bang u natin? So you have to bring back the original function na variable x. So ln of 4 plus e raised to 2x. So that's it. Actually, plus c ka na dyan. Doon sa right hand side kasi andun na yung independent variable mo na x. But since common yung ln or logarithmic function sa bawat term, so i-simplify na rin natin siya. Okay? So what I did here, since ito naka-over 2 dito, ito naman hindi siya naka-over 2. 'Di ba? I'm considering 'di ba yung mismong state ni function of y. So doon ako nag-consider. So nag-LNC na lang ako dito. Okay? Yan. Na-recall ko lang na. Syempre, ln of c represents any or just c, arbitrary constant c. I'm rewriting this one, 'di ba? Logarithmic function, yung property, maging ln of 4 plus e raised to 2x raised to 1/2. Okay? Ano nangyari dito? Yung 1/2, di ba, if you recall this one, sulat ko lang ulit. For the sake of those who have forgotten this one. Okay, pag sinabi natin, di ba, kanya, constant ito. Tapos ln of, ayan, x. This is actually, or this can be written as ln of x raised to a. Okay? Di ba? Ay, ito pala. Yan. Nakuha. Kaya inayos ko lang siya ganitong format. So, bakit ko ginawang ganito? Because, for me to be able to apply the property na ito yung magiging product, yung kanyang argument. So, kailangan wala muna siyang coefficient. I mean, the coefficient should be 1. Okay, that's one thing that you should remember. Na kapag kinumbine mo yung dalawang terms na to, na maging isang term na lang. So you have to make sure that the coefficient is other than 1. Okay, I mean, dapat 1 lang yung coefficient niya. Okay, let's continue. Now we have, yan, bakit naging product of C na lang siya dyan? Narekta mo na, Sir Phil. So just a recall, yung property. So e raised to ln of y equals e raised to ln of 4 plus e raised to 2x raised to 1/2 times c na. Nag-isang term na lang siya. May question ba dito, guys? Clear ba dito sa part na to kung bakit naging times c na lang siya?
Yes po.
Okay na, okay. Good. Sige. So ito anti-ln na itong ginagawa natin na matatanggal na natin yung logarithmic function. So by doing this, the e raised to ln is actually y. Yan. E raised to ln of y is y. E raised to ln of the product of these functions is itong product na lang to matitira. So you have c times Square root kasi yan, di ba? Pag ni-raise to 1/2. So 4 plus e raised to 2x. Ito na. Yan yung general solution mo. Okay, you have the arbitrary constant c, and you're able to solve for y. Ayan. Explicitly. Okay, so that's it. Yan na yung ating last example, I think. So may next page pa. Okay, so let me show you this. Kapag tinanong naman kayo, solve the initial value problem or obtain the particular solution. So ito lang muna, simpleng example lang. So I'll be providing you with more examples regarding this one. So how do you apply given conditions? How do you determine? Actually, if you recall, last time yata, I have discussed in types of solutions, no? Yung particular tsaka general solution, general and particular solution. So usually kapag nag-solve ka ng DE, ang unang masasolve mo dyan, or you will arrive at the general solution first. And then, use the given conditions para ma-determine mo yung value ni C. Pag alam mo na si C, plug in mo na sa general solution, and that solution will become a particular solution. Clear? So, ayan. A simple example here I have, in cross-multiply lang natin, so y dy is equal to minus x dx. Yan, separable siya na DE. So integrate both sides. I have now y squared over 2 equals minus x squared over 2 and then plus c dun sa right-hand side. Or you can simplify further. So imbis na plus c ka dyan, ano ka na lang, c over 2. And then multiply both sides by 2 para ma-remove natin yung 1/2 in each term. So y squared is equal to x squared or minus x squared plus c. So this is now the general solution actually. General solution yan. Pag meron ka ng value ni c, okay, ibig sabihin, masasolve natin yung particular solution. So the condition here, ang ibig sabihin na itong condition na to, na y of 4 is equal to minus 3 is that it says that when x is equal to 4, y is equal to minus 3. So you plug in, di ba, yung mga values na to dito sa ating general solution. So we have y is equal to minus 3, di ba? So minus 3 squared equals, nasa kabilang side naman, so minus, ano yung x? 4 squared plus c. Yan, mental math na lang guys. So negative 3 raised to 2 is 9 equal to minus, ano yung 4 squared? 16 plus c. So masolve mo na yung c, transpose mo lang yung 16 sa magiging 9 plus 16 is 25, right? Okay, so we have now the value of c na 25. So plug in mo ngayon yung c doon sa general solution and you have y squared equals minus x squared plus 25. So that's your particular solution. Okay, or you can transpose yung minus x squared dun sa left hand side. Okay. Pwede mo rin isulat sa ganung format, di ba? Magiging x squared, positive x squared na siya, plus y squared equal to 25 is your particular solution. Okay? That's it. That's how you solve the initial value problem. Okay, any questions? None? Okay, so clear tayo sa separable DE. So, yun yung first method natin or technique on how to solve a differential equation, first order na DE. Okay? Ordinary differential equation. Any more questions? I think hanggang dun lang tayo. Hanggang dun na lang tayo. Oh my gosh. Yes, everyone. Tapos na tayo, no? Wala na akong. Okay, so thank you all for joining this class. I hope that you learned something today. Yeah, so stop recording na ako.